fellas. Got a World of Warships Legends match for you today in the Numancia. This is also a bit of a review. Early look, probably only look, because honestly I don't like it that much. This is a ship available in the chain bundle. Oh man, I got suckered. I only bought 20, thankfully. But I really wanted the Vrihide. That thing seems totally busted. This one is I really like the Spanish tech tree ships. I would love a premium one. This is not it. Um, I'm eh, I didn't particularly enjoy my time with it. I think it just gives up a lot of what I found enjoyable in the tech tree ships. So like the Catalunya, I had a lot of fun. I think I actually did better in yeah. Oh, poor Catalunya. But average XP 2227. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've done a little bit better, and I've only played 6 matches. I just like playing Catalunya a lot better. It's fun. Uh, the Numancia turns the Spanish line into kind of a smoke fire farmer rather than a kiting, aggressive aggro burst fire, but also fire farming. I don't know. Uh, The Numancia has an interesting baked-in 3 ready rack, but I have not heard anyone else mention this. The ready rack reload time is 4 seconds on the Numancia, whereas it by default is, come on, is only 2.5 seconds on the base line, or the tech tree ships. I think all of them have that 2.5. That makes a noticeable difference. To get out all 3 of those salvos, it's, fire, 4 seconds, fire, 4 seconds, fire. That's 3 shots in 8 seconds, and then you have to get your reload. That's a long time. And so if I pop that down to what, 3.4 times 2 is 6.8, that's 1.2 seconds off the, you know, gap in stuff. And so if I take a look at, on second thought, go back in here, take a look at that. That's 1 second off the reload. I think Tapete's unique skill is actually a better reload, gross reload. And then it also has this additional benefit of loading each shell, takes the full reload, whatever. You can reload one at a time. Because of the Numancia's wonky turret layout, I found this on some of the other ships in the line, the tech tree line, when I was using the 3-shot ready rack. If just get a little off, you get your turrets out of sync. I like being able to reload kind of those out of sync turrets without dumping the whole thing. Um, this only has an 18-second reload with those 3 shells baked in. I don't think anyone would recommend bumping that up to 4 for an insane reload penalty. I think that's wildly punitive. Um, but yeah, I like being able to top off the turrets. I wish that this thing would just reload it. I think it's already borderline compared to on second thought. I think a lot of people are using on second thought. I can totally see the benefit on Numancia, but again, because of that cadence of the turrets and the wonky firing angles, I end up running into times and actually the long uh, salvo, like the length in between each salvo. I just like being able to top it off. I wish it would just reload the whole thing. There are a handful of times where I did have just 1 shot left, and it's kind of dumb waiting and waiting and waiting and then only getting 1 shell back. I think that's a little silly. It should just reload the whole thing. Because obviously if you're using 2 shots, there's no difference, but then if you're using 3 shots, maybe it would be busted if you were using some crazy 4-shot build on this one or I guess the tier 2, but no, they're not. They're not that good anyway. Anyway, this is the build that I'm using. I've got Talon and then this guy, my BFF, Mendez Nunez. Underrated inspiration there, just picking up that extra speed, traverse speed. I actually could use fire chance, but the fire chance on these guns is actually decent anyway. It only has 7, so you got to kind of remember that. Any of these stats is it's only 7 guns instead of kind of a more standard 9 for the tier. Honestly, on the whole, did I mess up any of my build? I think I was looking around. Did I change anything? No, I think that's all right. On the whole, I found this ship just kind of boring to play, not particularly impressive. It's not bad, but it doesn't suit my play style. Eh, not a fan. Well, yeah, Citadel's not, whatever. It's super low health. Yeah, we've already kind of gone over the guns, secondary armaments, whatever. The torpedoes, I think the match, oof, is it the one I'm going to show you? I think the one that I'm going to show you, I can't remember if it's in this one or not. But, oh no, it's not, it was a different match. I dev struck a D7P that pushed right into the torps, like, but they're not amazing. AA's whatever, maneuverability's fine, but whatever, concealment's fine, but whatever. Yeah, on the whole, not a fan. What does this get? Yeah, plane and DFA. I don't know. I wanted the Rhyhide, but I got this thing instead. I might take it out from time to time, but it's not the premium Spanish ship that I would want. It's not bad. It's kind of an interesting diversion. Will I ever play it? Will it ever be meta defining? Nah. Alright. Anyway, that's enough about this guy. On to the gameplay. Alright. Here we are on Trap. Domination mode, full division on the enemy team. I always look at the teams, try to check out divisions, especially if there are ships that might have alternate builds. Looking at that division, to me, that looks like they're going to try to seek out and destroy destroyers. You got a bunch of smokes, a bunch of detection tools with the Loyang and the Belfast 43. So, that would be kind of my prediction, but honestly, you never really know what they're going to do. We're over here at 8. I'm going to go in. Got a Jaeger. You never know what a Jaeger's going to do. And a Jean Bart, so that's nice. No carriers in this match. Just like a decent balance. 2 destroyers, 4 cruisers, 3 battleships. Sure, I'll take it. I messed up my order. I was going to kind of run through the matches I guess 6 matches that I had played on the Numancia. I will say the first match I played was kind of a loss no matter what. Full blue team. And then the other loss that I had, it was tragic. We literally lost it in the last seconds. The other flank didn't push the cap, in my opinion, for way too long. They sat around, there was a destroyer, but it was a Marceau. They could have kind of edged in, just don't eat the torps, and then they finally did, but then it was too late. We were down by a couple of points. I managed to sink a Kansas and flip the points, and then after waiting the whole match, 2 battleships ran through the cap out the other side, and both ate facefuls of Marceau torpedoes, so props to the Marceau. I was super frustrated that we just dropped it there at the end. That I had a Alabama and a Kansas that I kind of had to charge into and then juke. Managed to sink the Kansas and get away from the Alabama, and then just to have the team drop it like that. So that was frustrating, and then I accidentally got out. I logged into this instead of the game, and it's like, oh, the stuff's gone. So anyway, we're in here. We got our smoke. It is nice that this Moss came super wide, kind of angling. I think I was also spotted by the destroyer in B. So now we're in our smoke. A nice long deployment on the smoke screen, decent duration, so you get a fair amount of time to chill in here. It's like, right at 2 minutes of smoke. That's plenty of time. And you can already see what I was kind of talking about with the turret arrangement can get you in some wonky positions. I've got them all fired right now, but it's not wild to imagine how these can get out of sync if you don't get them all fired before you lose the target or lose the firing angle. I also found that just having played the tech tree line a decent amount, the increased time between shots was weirdly awkward. I kept expecting the next shot to come out faster, and then it's like, a full second or so later, it finally comes out. So just a little weird. Just if you like the Spanish line and have played the Spanish line, yeah, that one, it was just like that final shot just was like, wait, where is it? Where's the shot? I don't know. I'm sure you get used to it if you play it often enough and long, enough times. But yeah, missing on second thought, you can't quickly swap to AP, but because of the wonkiness in it requiring you to be fully loaded and the long time between salvo, all that stuff, that's why I'm running the unique skill, which I have no idea what the name of it is. Ooh, can we get some hits on the Moss? The Jaeger, spotted and dipped and went out and whatever, like, he's kind of good, but then he's gone in, there's the Belfast 43 right there. It's just like, why is he there? Decent hit on the Moss. One other thing that I noticed about this ship is the shells felt particularly slow. Looking at the stats, they're whatever they were, 800 something meters per second. That's not wildly slow. It's slower than the 900 meters per second on the tech tree lime. But I have to wonder if they have some kind of increased drag or something. Just at distance, they felt very floaty in a way that felt a little uncomfortable. I wasn't quite used to, and definitely missed some shots based on that. Wasn't leading quite enough, either up or laterally, and as with anything, you get used to it. But it's just worth noting these just don't quite have the same zip to them. Also, a little bit less accurate. Some I think is just the fewer barrels, but there were also definitely times where I felt the lack of accuracy. The Spanish tech tree line gets a bit of a bump in accuracy, and I actually ran without an accuracy inspiration on the Spanish line most of the time, and I still, even with AL Talon on this, not necessarily always stacked up, but I felt like I was missing shots that, like, that should have hit. HE damage also it's not awful, but it's nothing special. On the whole, this ship feels like it's reasonably effective at farming fire damage on battleships. But that's not super enjoyable for me. It can do it. It can do, yeah. I don't love this. Like, cool, I'm sitting in my smoke screen, shooting a lion and a key. I'm like, eh. You can also see, like, the cadence on the firing. Just the whole time I was playing it, it felt awkward to me. Getting the shots out, and again, I'm just like, so often I just, the shots don't come out quite in the way I expect. So I don't know. I'm sure you get used to it. Setting some fires, farming down, normal fire farming stuff here. Trying to make sure I've got a fire going on each battleship. Yeah, I have no idea if they're running 5 fire with fire, but as many fires as I can set is great. I would love to take some more shots at the Belfast and the destroyer, but it looks like they've kind of run out of B. I don't remember what that friendly cruiser that's pushing. Oh, I think it's a York. He actually had a good match. Kind of aggressively pushing in the face of these two battleships. I don't know. Maybe he took their smoke or something. I don't think I look over there. But I'm shocked that these two battleships on the red team are just letting that York push in. But hey, what are you gonna do? Let's see. Let's see. The key goes down. I think I don't have a fire burning on that lion, but I've got 100,000 damage. But it's also I have thought about this at length. Fire damage on a lion, he's got super heals, at least 2, probably more than that. Fire damage on a lion is definitely not the most valuable thing in the world, especially as it's been kind of spread out over this fairly lengthy amount of time. So he's getting to repair, I think you can see right there, like his health is going up, and he just gets to heal back a lot of that damage. And so kind of slowly burning down a British battleship over a long period of time just isn't all that useful. We are keeping him out of the cap. We don't have the cap right now, which is unfortunate. Our remaining destroyer took the long way around. Again, as they do. What are you going to do? I can't make him go into the cap. I really think that he should. But at least he's keeping the lion spotted. What am I checking? Sonar range. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Because I didn't know if the destroyer, the Loyang, was still in this cap. I kind of assumed not. I think at some point I checked the smoke screen in here to take a look at it, and it looks like he went kind of back towards B, but also thinking that he might be coming around that little island on the other side. But it's time to get in the cap. We're down on caps, we're down on points, we're Down on ships. We're down on everything. We are losing this match right now. So it's time to get in the cap. I've got a smoke screen up. One thing that, especially with fully packed, the smoke screens come back pretty quickly, especially if you can get someone in your little bubble. You should basically have a smoke available whenever you need it. But you do only have 3, so I mean you can't just waste them. But they're not something like what is it? The Blazing Dread. Oh, actually, that's the thing I can talk about. Is similar ships that might have a similar play style and are either better or worse for whatever reason. Or just kind of think about some of the differences. Blazing Dread and Anchorage are 2 ships that come to mind, and I think I would probably rather play either of those. The both of them, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't done the math, so I would actually, if someone wants to go check the DPM, it's hard to get the calculations out with the ready rack on the Spanish ones, but certainly by feel, the actual damage done by the shell DPM on both the Anchorage and Blazing Dread, I believe would be a lot higher. Not 100% sure, but I think so. And then the torpedoes on the Suzuya are definitely, sorry, the Suzuya, the Blazing Dread are certainly more usable, or more useful, more dangerous. These are such short range torpedoes. They're just really, the torpedoes on this are pretty disappointing. They don't really match this kind of farming from smoke gameplay. Yes, it's better than nothing, but not a fan. You can see here, like I'm out of sync on these shells, but I don't think I ever get the reload because I fire again. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Tapete's unique skill is amazing. I just think it is a better fit on this ship. I wish it was a little better than it was. I think it might do a little bit to elevate the ship if that skill worked the way where it just fully reloaded. Maybe one day. What was I saying? Anchorage and Suzuya. I think just the actual gun damage output on both of those is a little bit better. They're more survivable. Sorry, not Suzuya, Blazing Dread. I'm sorry. The same ship, but just, the reskin with differences in the smoke screen. Whatever. The Blazing Dread has a worse smoke. This one has a better smoke, so that's nice. But better torps. Survivability is similar on the Blazing Dread, and this one, the Anchorage, is definitely more survivable. I think the torps on the Anchorage are better than these. It's a meteor whack. It's only 4 per side, but they hit for harder. They have longer range. I think I'd just rather have those. What else? Oh yeah, and then the AP on the Anchorage is broadly American AP. If I remember correctly, it's not technically super heavy, but it's got the improved pin angles, and it's still plenty good. And I think it just is generally going to serve you better. Again, I like to play more aggressively, so I like having that punch available. And the turret layout is just a little more standard. You have 12 guns instead of 7, so your salvo weight in those instances is going to be a lot higher. Here is an instance, so my guns, I had some of my front turret done, and then I think I fully fired it and got the salvo. Yeah, I think that's what it is, and then it fully reloaded. So this isn't even again, this isn't an instance where the unique skill comes into play. I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily the best, but it's just one of those things that having the option there and the flexibility, and especially with the long time between each salvo, I'd probably just keep it over on second thought on this one. Yeah, Anchorage has probably similar smoke. Anchorage is not as maneuverable, but a lot tankier. It has 27mm plating, so that's going to do a lot in this matchmaking bracket. You still see a lot of 15-inch guns, despite some Redditor claims to the contrary. You never see anything that 27mm bounces. Like, no, all the time. Whoa, what else? Yeah, both of those ships are rare. This one is currently available. I guess the Anchorage is they're probably both like super prizes or Blazing Dreads and Halloween crates or wherever you get it. So, these are all kind of on the rarer side. What's a ship that you could get? Kutuzov, smoke farming, a little bit different, but similar feel. There's a fair amount of these smoke HE farmers, and this
certainly does. In this match, I don't really get a chance to. There were places that I might have been able to use the burst AP, and that definitely could be useful. But because of the long time between salvos, because of the meh turret arrangement and the only 7 barrels, and like it could be good if you get the exact lineup. But again, I just still like meh. Here I am. I was talking to my team and just like, honestly, guys, let's just sink this thing and go home. I want the Kraken, but I don't even really care that much. Let's just sink it. Here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get it anyway, but then the Bismarck shells come in. But honestly, I just want the win over some of those tragic losses earlier. We do manage to pick it up. What is that? 100, almost 160,000, and yeah, 3,500. So Numancia, it can do it, but